everybody. Welcome to another episode of For the Love of Dog. I'm Steve here with Gary. We are both work and slaves for the little red dog. Gary's a dog trainer. Gary, how you doing?
Slaving
away. Slaving away. You know what? I got a great idea. I think we need words to that intro song. So if anyone has words, lyrics, please email me and we will add it. Please.
Extra credit Steve, if you make them not insulting.
If we use your if we use your lyrics in the song, I will send you a shirt or hoodie of your choice. Please email me at steve@littlereddog.org.
I
don't know why.
On that.
Yeah, you don't count. You can have any shirt you want anyway.
Excluded again.
So we're all about trying to talk about dog behavior and teaching people, and a lot of times, I run across people that have this negative connotation about little dogs, especially Chihuahuas. Circus dogs. In my opinion, Paris Hilton kind of ruined Chihuahuas and how to raise them properly. However, yes, they can be yippy. Yes, they can be a lot of energy. In my world, the joke is if you're going to be a dog trainer, don't own a Chihuahua. But lately, there's some data out there that Gary is going to share with us that maybe tries to pinpoint, is this just how we see them? Is this really true? Et cetera, et cetera. So, Gary, what's the information on this? What you got?
The data says it's true.
Yeah,
Chihuahuas are asses. No, it doesn't. No, what it says is this one's just taking a look at why little dogs tend to be more aggressive than large dogs. So the study was completed by the Center for the Interaction of Animals and Society at the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Sciences. All
right, sounds legit.
Yes, so it's legit.
Just won't quit.
What is the classification of a small dog is less than 20 pounds. Is the only criteria that they're putting on
20 pounds or less, all right.
So what they did is they came up with a few reasons why.
Okay.
They already went through the bites. They've documented little dogs bite more people than big dogs.
Really?
Breed specific. Chihuahuas were obviously on there. Jack Russells. Dachshunds.
Oh, doxies. Well, yeah, but I can explain doxies. Why? But I want to hear more.
Because they're pissed off because they're body shaped?
Well, I mean, we've talked about before in past shows that according to my journal that I keep as far as when I do training, by far doxies. Yeah, doxies by far are the most troublesome. But it's 9 times out of 10 it's because people don't understand they're a working dog. They were bred to go down a dark tunnel to kill something. Nobody wants to do that.
A badger.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Going down to get something badass.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I wouldn't do it.
No.
You got to have something that, like you said, that's a badass.
Yeah.
I love the breed.
Yeah.
But you got to make sure if you're going to own them, you got to give them a job. You got to keep their energy down.
Yeah, they do need some work, or they can be pretty destructive.
Or put them to work.
Yes.
Throw them down the goddamn tunnels and get some badgers.
Yep. Start farming some gophers, and your dog will be set.
Right. Right.
So, they listed those and as the ones that are most likely to attempt to bite. So they did a study of more than 30 dog breeds and found that the little dogs were more likely. So then they started breaking into why. So the first reason is that they are likely to be lashing out for self-defense.
They always think there's a threat.
Like a little guy has... more of a threat, feels more threatened by a giant muscle guy. So
guilty. I'm guilty of that.
Right off the
I'm always trying to posture.
Yeah, right off the bat, you have that. The physical differences between them. So one that I thought was interesting is they said that owners tend to infantilize that small dog breeds and think of them as being helpless infants. So they feed that response to the dog as they're bringing them up.
And we teach people that all the time.
Yes.
And we always tell people, I tell people, treat your Chihuahua like a horse.
Yes.
You can't hold a horse.
You can't pick up a horse.
Can't pick up a horse. Yeah, let it be a dog.
Yep.
Sidebar on what you just said, though, and I'm totally guilty because I'm a little guy of posturing all the time. And we just adopted a dog, Cole. It's this great couple. And love them both, but the reason why I wanted to talk about the husband's a huge guy, and he slouches, and I forget why he mentioned it, but he said, I slouch because I've been big all my life, like when I was a little kid, and I didn't want to stand out, so I'm always trying to make myself smaller. And I thought that was so interesting, right? Because I'm the opposite. I'm a little guy, and I'm always trying to.
That's where I am.
Don't
too.
mess with me. I'll kick your ass.
No, I run into 5150 crazy people all day long, and they'll look cop. My partner that's bigger than me, skinny guy. I want to fight him. So I try to come in and I got my best posture on and everything.
Well, you look awesome with the uniform and the badge now. No one's gonna fuck with you now.
They do, believe it or not. I had a guy the other day who had some really bad things to say about me.
A paramedic? Why would he even have anything bad to say about a paramedic?
Because I had him 4-pointed on a gurney, taking him to a facility.
Oh, right.
He was not happy that he was going to a psych facility.
Gotcha. All right, well, that's something different.
We caught him at his house. His friends kind of carried him out above their head and slammed him on the gurney, and we tied him down, and he was just going off. Ugh. They ended up having to call OC Fire out and give him a shot of happy juice to bring him down.
Oh my goodness!
Which really didn't even work. So
you're still in the same predicament.
Yep. So
he's
they left
really
him handcuffed to the gurney. He wasn't even that big.
Oh.
He was just super wound up.
Wow.
So they ended up leaving him handcuffed to the gurney, and Fire ended up taking him to the hospital.
Fun, problem solved.
Yeah.
So net. So they're saying it's a combination of the owners babying them. They feel small, so they're gonna have every kind of reaction to anything that's their size or bigger.
It's defensive.
Okay. What else?
For them.
What else we got?
Aggression could also be baked into the pup's evolution.
Yeah, sure. Like any dog.
So in bigger breeds, say pit bulls, they have had a movement to try to, if they're going to breed these dogs, to breed some of the aggressive out of them. Like they breed, big dogs, little dogs, whatever.
Right.
So they actually tried doing behavioral breeding.
Right.
But because Chihuahuas and these little dogs, they pose so little risk that breeders have never tried to breed that out of them.
Gotcha. Huh. I hadn't thought of that.
They still do the, all the environmental stuff. They have nice coat, right colors, all of that stuff, right size, but they never tried to go to the aggressive
behavior part.
Yeah.
Right before we started, I can't remember what source, but the article talked about what breeds were more loyal to the pack. And as I was saying, they didn't do a good job defining what that meant.
Yep.
But whatever, they said the Chihuahuas were the most protective of the pack. That's certainly true when I'm walking all four dogs.
Yeah.
Nigel's always looking for a fight.
Yeah. And,
always.
It's how they express themselves as pack members, and some dogs want to express themselves as the security guards. So, if they have that in them, then they feel like they're doing a job for the pack. They're protecting you. Obviously, what we're looking for is a dog that will do that, but will redirect when they're put off the duty.
Right.
But,
you said duty.
Eh.
Yeah, well, and it's very frustrating with Nigel because he's so good, really. Like, once he calms down, he's the most loving dog.
He's affectionate and...
Very affectionate, but he is a pain in the ass. Like, today... We had all four dogs, and we were rounding the corner, and off to my left, I saw two dogs. They weren't great, but I knew we were gonna have trouble because they stare, and they're pulling the owner. And so, and Sunny was with us too, and Sunny's learning. She's a puppy. She just turned a year last week. Very proud of her today. She pulled a little, lunged a little, but nothing horrible. But Nigel was just a pain in the ass. And I got no excuse. I mean, I've had this dog for 5 years.
Yeah, you have an excuse. He's a Chihuahua.
Yeah. But it's just so frustrating because he just upholds that stereotypical little dog bullshit. Yeah. He's not doing any good for his breed.
No, he's not going to be the ambassador.
No, but Buster, who's also a Chihuahua, is perfect. With him, even though he was feral when we first got him, genetically speaking, he goes with the program. Now, you still cannot... He's the opposite of Nigel. He'll let you pick him up.
Yeah, he doesn't warm up as much as Nigel does.
No, really the only one he loves is PJ. PJ can do whatever, but the rest of us... I can pick him up, but
he's not wild about it.
He's just stiff, like, I don't like this. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But Nigel's very affectionate, which you know. But I find it fascinating, and then I get kind of down too. I was like, well, geez, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. I have to take some of the responsibility. Maybe I have to take all the responsibility. I don't know.
I mean, as a dog trainer, I always liken it to you can't own a Chihuahua if you're a dog trainer because they're going to make you look bad. It's the equivalent of if you are a mechanic, you can't drive a hoopty. But, if you have a car that's got 370,000 miles on it, you're only going to be able to do so much to fix that car.
Right.
If you've got a Chihuahua, you're not going to take your Chihuahua from a little man-eater to a people lover.
Right. Well, this cracks me up about him is he is a quintessential short man syndrome dude.
Oh, yeah, Napoleon
he comes out of the car looking for trouble.
Head up, chest flex.
He's looking for a squirrel, a bird, a human, a dog, and he's going to fuck them up. It doesn't matter. But like most Chihuahuas, if you say anything back to him, he's like,
oh my God.
There's nothing behind it. And he's never laid teeth on anything ever. And I can't say that about Buster.
Yeah?
Yeah, Buster, the last dog that bit me was Buster.
Well, I always tell people that it's not going to be an aggressive dog who probably bites you. It's going to be a nervous dog who bites you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just one bite anyway.
Yeah,
it's not
just
an attack.
to get away. Yeah,
it's not an attack. But that's good stuff. It kind of makes me.
Where if Nigel got a hold of you, he'd probably rip you up. He'd be like a Tasmanian devil, spin around you top to bottom.
It would be death by 1,000 paper cuts for sure. And he's so quick. Oh, he's so quick. And he catches. I got these little tennis balls, and he catches those so well in the most difficult of throws.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I don't think people realize how athletic those little dogs are.
They're so athletic.
Yeah.
And I hate it when I go to someone's house that has a Chihuahua, and they're like 4 or 5 years old, but they're 50 pounds overweight.
Sausage dog. Yeah,
they couldn't get over a speed bump if they were walking to save their life.
I'm bottomed out.
You can't do anything. Their legs are like this on a speed bump. But because I get pissed, I go, look, I can tell right now you're loving on this dog too much. You probably put in your purse. You're not letting the dog walking
it enough. You're feeding it too much.
And they're incredibly great at fetch. They're incredibly athletic. They're great for what's the training with the obstacle course. What do you call that? Agility. They're great for that. But people just treat them like they're a little stuffed animal.
Yeah. No, Paris Hilton. You hit it last episode.
Ruined that.
Making them purse dogs. The worst thing you can do for a dog.
Yeah, for sure. And to be honest with you, when we first started the rescue, PJ and I were all about Amstaffs. Couldn't stand Chihuahuas. Didn't want to look at a Chihuahua. I mean, they were cute. I'll give you that. They're flipping cute as hell. But because the reality is, if you go to any shelter in Southern California, if it's not an Amstaff, it's going to be a Chihuahua.
Yep.
And so we started saving these guys because PJ's heart is so big. I had nothing to do with this. And we started saving Chihuahuas in 2012-ish. Yeah, 2012. Okay. And I fell in love with the breed. Yeah. They're very sweet.
I think, as a dog trainer, I like the challenge of Chihuahuas. That you can take a Chihuahua and you can get it, you may not get a Chihuahua, in my capacity working with them as a trainer where I'm not, going extended periods. But chipping off at the small stuff, you can definitely make progress with a Chihuahua, but it takes work.
Oh, absolutely.
So I like the challenge of Chihuahuas.
I do too. I mean, I talked about the little failure we had this morning, but it doesn't bother me anymore because he does so many other things so well that I live with it.
I mean, that's the deal. You have to be realistic about the dog's capacity.
Yeah.
If you expect a perfect dog and you take Nigel for a walk, he's going to let you down. If you know who Nigel is and know, okay, if we get to another dog who's posturing on him, he's going to go. Then you can take the small victories. Okay, he redirected off of it. Okay, he kept walking. Okay, he didn't get the other dogs involved. Whatever little victory you can claim, you can walk with that and feel all right about it.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing that I do agree with the pack mentality article that I read, if I take Nigel by myself in that same scenario, he doesn't react that way. He's not going to posture as quickly.
Yep.
Yeah,
he's got to demonstrate for the siblings.
Yeah, he's exactly.
Check this out, Buster. Watch me go, boy. He's holding me back.
If Steve wasn't holding me back, man, this guy would be fucked up.
Yeah,
that's so true. Anyway, that's all we have for this segment. But please keep watching us. When we come back, we have other fun stuff we're going to talk about. Please visit thelittlereddog.org to adopt, foster, or donate. We need your help. Thanks, everybody.
Don't forget about the sweet merch.
Sweet merch, sweet shirts, like the one I'm wearing, the one Gary's wearing. Take care, everybody. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, I'm Steve with the Little Red Dog. Thanks so much for listening for the Love of Dog podcast. Please subscribe. If you're listening, please rate us and let us know if we're doing horribly or awesome. We need that feedback. Also, when you do subscribe to YouTube, you'll get an alert for our virtual adoption events. We need your input. We need you to watch and support our cause. Thank you so much. We're on a mission from Dog. Take care, everybody. Ho, ho, ho. Welcome back, everybody. I've got our leader in the studio, the fiery redhead, Miss PJ Rosh. PJ, how are you doing today?
I am doing great today. Thank you. How about yourself?
I'm still hanging in there. We're still on the planet.
We're still on the planet.
I heard you have a guest for us today. So who do you have?
I'm so excited about our guest. We have Marina Resa. Resa? I hope I said that right. She'll tell me if I didn't. She is a pet bereavement counselor, and I'm very excited to have her on there. So.
Very sweet. It's got to be a harsh
And there she is.
There
Yay.
she is.
Okay, did I say it right?
Marina Resa, but it's really not a big deal. People mess it up all the time.
Okay, Resa.
Well, you definitely the perfect glow.
I know.
If you were sad about your dog, as soon as we see you, it's like I can't help but feel a little better.
I know. She looks very ethereal there.
Very, yes, very.
So Marina, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it. And I just wanted, I thought it was really important to have you on the show because I lost my dog last June unexpectedly. Mm-hmm. So it was really hard to contend with. And I wish I had known that you existed because it would have been nice to talk to somebody about it. But so tell us about, your counseling and kind of how you approach it.
Yeah, so I definitely, I work with all other issues as well. Well, not all other issues, but I work with, your classic anxiety, depression, relationships and everything as well. But one of the driving forces for me entering the field of psychotherapy was actually to specialize in pet grief because I had a really hard time after the loss of two of my pets back to back and fell into a really deep depression at that time and had a hard time finding a therapist who truly specialized in pet grief. And so I really went back to school and got my master's degree and pursued this career with a goal to make this a specialization for myself.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's very cool.
So you told me how you started the practice. That's really interesting because if you couldn't find somebody, you just decided to do it yourself, which I personally love. So when when you talk to people about, you said you do anxiety and other things, do you, is it what's different? Is there anything different? I guess is the question between counseling somebody for anxiety or bereavement or anything else that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, with pet grief, almost always I get those calls within a couple of weeks. I'd say that one of the main links that I have is that I work a lot with people with attachment trauma as well.
Interesting.
And that's kind of an overall, it's the clients I tend to attract. And a lot of times that's, there's an overlap in that with pet grief as well. Because a lot of times for people, their pet, even if they have a lot of great, human relationships and everything, they're really strong, safe, emotional attachment is with their pet. So sometimes people just need brief therapy and they just come in for support in that immediate aftermath. And then others, it becomes more about family trauma as well. Parents who are not emotionally attuned to the child's needs.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I noticed that you also do counsel children too in pet bereavement, at least maybe other stuff too. But I thought that was really interesting because it's it's harder for kids because they just haven't been through it, and then all of a sudden you lose your best friend, and it's it is an attachment. So that's an interesting aspect.
Yeah, I had a quick question. So one, my personality is such that if I were to lose, my little buddy, I would probably want to wait years. I'm finding though, based on what we do, it comes in two flavors on our end. Either they lose a dog and they want to adopt a dog immediately, or they come in my flavor. I'm assuming neither one is right. However, do you make people kind of take a beat before they rush out and say get another dog, or what's your advice in this situation?
I will never tell a client to go get another pet. They hear that so much from, their friends and their support system when it's really their own personal decision. That said, I also don't judge, if someone knows that they need an animal in their household in order to have that emotional support and happiness. I mean, the house feels so empty, and sometimes people do that and they don't attach right away. But I always try to tell them, like, I trust that they will attach eventually. It kind of sometimes mimics what looks like postpartum depression, where there's like a huge rejection of the new pet, but, not always.
Well, yeah, that was, the first time I encountered it, which was like 10 years ago, I really kind of had to step back because this particular family wanted a dog immediately, and they just lost their dog like that week. And I literally, probably wrong, I literally said, I think you guys should maybe take a day at least and really think about this before you move forward. Anyway, so I find that very curious. It's one or the other. It's either a week in that week, or they wait years.
We do see that. Yeah, definitely we see that. Were you going to say?
You're so right.
Yeah, I mean, we've had people, Marina, that have their dog. They know their dog is dying, right? That has cancer or something. That they come and get a dog before the dog passes.
We've had that as well. Yeah.
So, but it's interesting.
I don't see that as much.
Oh, you don't? Yeah. It's interesting because you talked about the attachment. It's funny. We do run into that a lot. Like sometimes people will reject a dog and they say, well, he just doesn't love me right away. I'm like, okay. So I have to tell him, like, did your wife love you right away? Did you have to do a courting thing or whatever? But
or she did, but now she hates me.
I don't know if this was your site or just some other research I was doing, but I noticed that there was something I read that talked about the stages of pet bereavement. And I kind of thought about like when people know they're dying or whatever, there's like that 5 stages of grief or whatever. So is that similar or is that something different?
Yeah, it's similar. Even with the classic stages of grief with human loss, it's, there's different schools of thought in which, people may or may not go through all the stages. People kind of feel like, oh, there's something wrong if they do or they don't. It's more of the stages of grief were actually developed for people who were dying themselves. So it's usually a little different with grief in general. But what I see the most in pet loss is almost everyone experiences extreme guilt, which was a stage that was developed later on. It wasn't originally part of the first, model. But always, like if I were to say that there's something that's consistent, it's guilt. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they, fought for the best cancer treatment. There's always, did I wait too long? Did I spend too much? Did I keep them alive for me? Or if they didn't fight, should I have fought? If it's traumatic, of course, there's always, self-blame for whatever happened. Yeah.
I can definitely see that. And I know I went through the grief, and I remember even asking you one day, like, do you think it's my fault that she has cancer? Like, what did I do or what didn't I do? So I can totally relate to that. And I'm sure the people who are listening will, because, we talk, just what you said, like, did I end their suffering too quickly? Like, did I wait too long? I've had so many friends and people that we've met in the rescue, debate that. And you just don't, for some reason, or maybe I just need to come talk to you. You just don't, it's constantly in my mind. I lost my dog in June of last year. And again, it was very sudden. We didn't know she had cancer and it was really hard. It's still hard. And I'm still going through like, what did I do wrong? What did I, so I think, I think people can really identify with that for sure. So when you're working with like a family versus an individual, I mean, yeah, talk about that. Is it a different process? Like, how do you make sure that everybody's, being heard or taken care of? Thank you.
Yeah, it's really rare that I get a call from a family. Every once in a while, if there's like a traumatic or sudden death, there'll be a call that's like, can I please have some tools and support to like help us right now? But ultimately, it's individual clients.
Okay.
It tends to be.
Okay. Well, what you just said actually works into my next question. So thank you for being a good straight person.
Sure.
What tips might you share for our listeners? Because again, unfortunately, I always say the only thing I don't like about dogs is that we outlive them. So so everybody's dealing with it. So what tips or resources can you share with our listeners?
Yeah, certainly. Well, I'd say, pay attention to who's in your circle. Like sometimes it's surprising that who you think was in your inner circle, like might need to temporarily be in your outer circle, and someone from your outer circle might surprise you and be in your inner circle because, with pet loss, it's certainly a disenfranchised category of grief. So well-meaning people say really crappy things.
Ain't that the truth?
Sorry, PJ.
So it's one of those things where you really have to kind of pick and choose to surround yourself around by people who get it, because frankly, not everyone has the same attachment to their pets.
True.
So that's my first tip. Secondly, letter writing is really helpful. Writing a letter to your pet, writing a letter from your pet to you. Sometimes grief timelines, especially if there's a long, progression of disease or something like that, can help you see the other losses that came first, while your pet was still alive. Maybe changing your routine. If you went on a walk every day, walking might still, be a good habit for you to do, but maybe walk on a different block.
That's what I told my mom. I just literally told my mom that. Good. All right, good. I did one thing right.
Yeah. Let's see, what else? Finding a way to create a way to memorialize your pet as well. And that comes in different forms. Some people will have a pet portrait commissioned or jewelry made with like the little ashes,
Did that too.
Done that.
Yeah. Or a donation to a rescue or something in your pet's name. I think, funerals are still really helpful. Obviously it was a difficult year for that, but to invite a few people over that support you and love your pet as well, and still have that ritual of goodbye.
That makes a lot of sense. What were we going to say?
Well, I was going to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was going to say, being that PJ and I, we run into this quite a bit. And I'm always putting my foot in my mouth. What should we say? Just a quick,
that's a good question.
Little pat on the back or just a hug, or what should we do?
To let people know that you care.
Yeah. I think that, always sending your condolences is a good thing. I think little acts of kindness, like when I experienced the death of a pet several years ago, it was surprising. The neighbor who didn't even like pets left a little orchid on my doorstep.
That's super sweet.
It meant the world to me, because it was like, you don't get it, but you get that I'm grieving.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So the cards and notes and little, like Trader Joe's flour, goes a long way.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, that
Really.
makes sense. That was
Very
a good
sweet.
question.
Very sweet.
So I know people are going to want to find you. So can you tell us? Obviously, we're going to have her URL up here. But how do people find you?
Sure. It's my website's www.marinaresatherapy.com.
Okay, good. And people check that out, because she is very kind, and I love that she went back to school to figure this out so that she could deal with her grief and then help us with ours. And I know Jan. I know Jan will be listening.
I'm turning my mom over to you as soon as we're done here.
Jan will be so happy because she just lost Gilly. Again, I still, even though it's been over a year, I still miss Bella so much. I know, so you're doing virtual counseling right now, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And how does that going? Do you feel like it's still as effective or?
Yeah, I think it's just as effective. When everything switched over, I really thought that it would be, I think a lot of us thought it would be a bit problematic and distant. But I think if anything, it's been beneficial, and that I've been able to serve, the entire state of California more effectively. And people are able to seek support because they're thinking outside the box as far as like, I don't need to find someone in my town to go drive to their office.
Right.
Yeah. Definitely
Right.
makes sense. Is there anything, as we're wrapping up, is there anything else that you would like to tell people about what you do, or anything at all?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, grief is grief. And if you are experiencing intense emotions and sadness around the loss of your pet, it's normal. I've had a lot of clients confess, and strangers even before I became a therapist, which was part of the driving force, was that they experienced the loss of their pet. It was more intense than that of maybe even their own parent, or equal to even a child, or all of these losses that you would think would quantify on a bigger, deeper category. So that's people's truth. A relationship is a relationship, no matter whether it's with a person or your little furry or scaly or whatever feathery companion.
Right.
Your loss is valid.
Definitely. I think that's a really great place to end, because I think that's some of us that, that don't normally like have, very demonstrative and feelings or whatever, it's harder because you're thinking I should be stronger. I don't know why, it's just a dog. But like you said, it was my best friend, and we've been together for 10 years. So it was, I think that's great. Yes. Your feelings are your feelings. You're allowed to, it's okay for you to have them. You're allowed. And I think that, whatever you're feeling is right, depending on who you are, right?
Absolutely.
You heard it. She said I was right. Any other questions before we let her go back to her busy day?
No, it's absolutely fabulous to talk about. I know it's tough to talk about it, but it's things that I think that as human beings we all need to try our best to get our emotions in check. And mental health right now is such a big topic, and this is just one way of dealing with it.
Right.
So,
well, thank you so much for being
awesome.
here. We
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And I know our listeners are just going to love it. So thank you so much. And you have a great day. And take care.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course.
We're so glad to have you. We'll send you everything so you'll know when it's going to air and everything. And but yeah, we'll have your URL up there so people can get you. So again, that is Marina. Oh, gosh. Resa?
Yeah, it's just think of like where you park boats, and then the last name is Resa.
Okay. There you go. You've got it, Marina Resa. And we really appreciate you having you here. You're lovely. I'm so excited. I'm sure Steve's mom will be calling you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I might be calling you. So you take care. Thank you so much
Great
for being
to
with
meet you.
us.
Thank you.
Very nice to meet
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody. That wraps up another edition of For the Love of Dog. We totally appreciate you tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please give us some feedback. Give us a rating. Give us some feedback. Tell us what we're doing wrong, right?
Send money.
Send money. Go to littlereddog.org to adopt, donate, volunteer, or foster. TheLittleRedDog.org. See you
And
next
we're
week,
back.
everybody. Take care.